Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I share some useful utilities that you can download for your iPhone, for your iPad, and everything in between. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by 8 Sleep. Good sleep is the ultimate game changer and nature's best medicine. Go to 8sleep.com/iOS to check out the Pod Pro cover and save $150 at checkout. 8 Sleep currently ships within the USA, Canada, and the UK. And by Wealthfront. To start building your wealth and get your first $5,000 managed for free for life, go to wealthfront.com/iOS today. And by Hover. Whether you're a developer, a photographer, or a small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. Whoa! Haha and hee. Welcome to iOS Today. This is the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, HomePadOS, iPadOS, watchOS. Whew. There are lots of OSs that we talk about here on iOS Today because we want to cover the gamut of Apple products and make sure that you are getting the best use out of them possible. I am one of your hosts, Mikah, Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard. And if anybody's wondering, does she sound a bit different today? I've got a little bit of a cold, but I'm fine. Don't worry, folks.
I'm glad that you are here today. I am sorry that you're a little under the weather, but we do appreciate you joining us today, especially when it comes time to talk about useful utilities, because you are an individual who I think many people would call, yourself included, a power user, somebody who can kind of take a device and then do so much more with it. And one of the ways that people can do so much more with their devices is through the use of utility apps. These apps that are kind of like little tool belts, toolkits that have extra features, or maybe even in some cases just specific features that will kind of improve upon the base experience that you have on iOS, on iPadOS.
Yes. Yeah. And I have very consciously, at least with my examples, I know, Mikah, you've got some things you want to talk about too, try to steer clear of my traditional go-tos. So, for example, Drafts is not here, even though I love it. And it's a great text application. Shortcuts isn't here because we have an entire section of the show called Shortcuts Corner. And so I've tried to put in some different ones so that people can really maybe find out about something new and maybe re-find an old friend, because I know that every time I'm going through preparing for a show, I rediscover apps that I lost a while ago and go, oh yeah, that's amazing.
Indeed. Yeah, that's kind of the fun thing too, is I will go through my apps from time to time and go, oh, I forgot about that. I had this whole idea for how I was going to use this app as part of my daily workflows, and then I completely spaced on it. And so I love to go through and kind of audit and say, oh, right, let me bring that up. Now I've got the time and the sort of headspace to figure out how I want to work that into what I'm doing. So tell us about the first one on your list. This one is interesting. It's called Opener. What's Opener all about?
Well, Opener is one of those apps that's been around for a really long time. And nowadays is sort of a little superseded by the fact that so many apps have got Safari integrations, but I find myself still using it. So the whole point of Opener is that it's for opening links in specific applications, which means that, for example, if you've got a link to, say, Twitter, then you could have it open in Tweetbot. Now, this is an example of one that's replaced by a Safari extension, where Tweetbot now has a Safari option where it can just redirect Twitter links to Tweetbot for you, which is great, and I love it. But there are a bunch of other things that I find myself going, why is this opening weirdly? Or I don't actually want to open it in a specific application. And that is what I use Opener for in a lot of cases. So I'm just going to open, and this is one that I had the other day. So I was looking on the John Lewis app over here in the UK. I was actually looking for something for my grandmother. So I'm just going to actually pick something random here and show people what the problems that I had, because I'm sure people have found this problem before, right? You go to share something from one of the apps, and I'll just pick OmniFocus. And, well, this is the information that comes up. hey, I found this in XYZ app. What do you think? Oh, great. Thanks. There's absolutely no actually useful information in this at all. Well, this is something that I then solve with Opener. So instead, if I tap on Opener, then I can use the Safari, which gives you a little in-app Safari. So it doesn't actually open a Safari tab. It just opens it inside of Opener. And then when I go to the share sheet and, for example, if I were to show this back to OmniFocus, it actually gives me the title of the thing that I'm looking at. You know, the thing that's actually useful to me, that's what I want and need. So that is, of course, you know, one of the ways that you can use Opener, perhaps the least traditional way from the way it was created. But you can also see there's a whole bunch of supported apps here. So, for example, there's V for Wikipedia, there's YouTube Music, Aviary, Telegram, and then in your settings, you can say if it should auto-open apps when only one app is available. If there are any auto-open preferences, then you can create those. So, for example, and this is going to be a little difficult to do, but I am just going to try to open a Twitter link in my browser because if I were to then share this to Opener, then it should give me the option to see all of the different options I've got installed. And then I can swipe on one of them to set it to be my auto open, which means if you do have a lot of things where you want to have all the apps installed, you've disabled the Safari integration from everything, and you just want to, you know, be able to control it, you can do that with a really fine-grained tool like Opener and, you know, just enjoy the fact that your phone does exactly what you want when you want it to.
Exactly, because there are times where I see it most often with Instagram and YouTube, where I tap on a link and I want it to open in Instagram, or I want it to open in YouTube, or maybe vice versa. I want it to open in the Safari browser instead. And so having that ability, like, oh, I can just hit that share sheet, I can use Opener, and it will properly open that link within the specific app that I'm looking for is really nice. That's a great utility available for $1.99 in the App Store, and I think well worth the cost in order to have all those different kinds of links that you have open in the exact place where you want them. Up next, this is an app that I'm really happy to hear get a mention because it is made by an incredible developer and artist. Tell us about GIF Wrapped, or if I think that the developer would pronounce it GIF Wrapped.
Yeah, so I'm going to call this GIF Wrapped because it's supposed to be a play on gift wrapped. Yeah, so this is a great little application for animated graphics where you can save all of your favorite different ones into the app and you'll just have them ready to use whenever you want. So I've got Anna from Frozen doing things. I've got a very judgmental looking cat that's just moving. I'm guessing it's her. Lovely eyeliner kitty either way. But yes, so I've got a couple of my favorites in here and I save them here. But what I like is that I can easily import things to this app to share them again later. And of course, then I have a search. So if I was looking for example, the octopus running away going, nope, 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 then I can find that because I've got that saved. And this, when I start searching, it searches first through whatever I've got, but then if I tap on the search, then it will go through and look on Tenor and give me some of the options that I can, see out there so that I can find things. But I really like the fact that this app, it seems very simple, but there's a lot of options in it here. So for example, there's a surprise me, so you can look for, and it'll search for a random word, and it's gone with the word genius for me, which is quite nice. I'm going to consider that a compliment. Thank you, GIF Wrapped. You can also go through and look through your photos, though, including your photos, burst photos, and live photos, and convert them into animated images, which you can then save because. So this makes it really easy to end up creating your own without needing necessarily to open the Shortcuts app, because of course you can do that with Shortcuts, but I love the fact that it's here. And then of course, from here, I can easily go and I'll just quickly open my Messages app and start a new message, because then I have the option to share it from the Messages application. So as well, which allows me to then, if I just, instead of typing, if I type into the Messages area, then I can just go, across, and it's hiding from me, even though I used it just before the show. There's GIF Wrapped. And then I've got all of my favorites here, including the search bar so that I can easily search. Or, in fact, I could just send some people some little otters holding hands because, aren't otters adorable?
They are. They're always adorable. This is a nice way to kind of have your own sort of library and ones that you use, I think, pretty frequently. And it's also nice if you have, if you are not big on using Giphy, which is now I think, if I remember correctly, owned by Facebook. Some people, try to stay away from that as much as possible. So that one is a way to kind of just maintain your own library, which can be very handy. All right. The next one is one that I want to talk about. It's an app called Textcraft, and this is a great utility for playing with all sorts of different text transformations on your device. So here in Textcraft, you can see this is just the base text that comes with it. Type text to see 90 plus transformations happen in real time. Tap any of the results to copy and long press to be presented with options. So there are options for uppercase, lowercase, alternating case, adding spaces, reversing the words, replacing spaces with underscores, dashes with spaces, initials. There are the clap transformation, which is kind of funny, replacing words with emoji whenever those are available. Also removing emoji from a paragraph if you have, URL encode, base 64 encode, all sorts of stuff here. That basically give you the ability to take text and transform it in ways that are very useful depending on what you're doing. So for a writer who is maybe trying to take a chunk of text and get it from their own documentation to the CMS, and the CMS needs specific things, this can help with that. There are also, there's an easy list to copy different symbols that you might use, including, I love that they've got fractions in here, which I will often use if I'm writing out a recipe or something like that, where I need to have, half, fourth, three quarters, 1/3, etc. In the settings, you have the ability to show or hide certain transformations if there are ones that you don't use. I have, as you can see, a lot of the formatting options hidden for bold, italics, underline, because those are fake. Those are things that we should not use. Anytime you see text online where it is in a basic text place, like on an Instagram caption, for example, or in a tweet, if you see weird looking text where it's as if they've done a quote unquote font, that's not actually using a font, that's using special Unicode characters. And people who use screen readers to be able to see or consume what's on the web, they are not able to properly, those screen readers are not able to properly understand what's being said there, and instead will often read those characters out as they are listed in the Unicode library. So in that way, I don't like to use any of those bold, italics, underline stuff, because those are not actually the way that you would think. They're not being used the way that you think they would be, and folks often are unable to then actually understand what's being said there. So I have those turned off, but all of this works here in the app itself, but you can also access Textcraft from the share sheet. So you can highlight a passage of text, use share, and then be able to bring it up in Textcraft and get the exact option that you want to do. Here, you've got use the text, copy the text, share the text. And so you would be able to pop that into whatever app you're using. So that is Textcraft. It's available for $4.99 in the App Store, and it was a no-brainer purchase for me. Absolutely. I thought, oh my goodness, there are so many times where I come across a list and I want to take that unordered list where there are dashes next to it and turn it into a list that is just has commas between them. So all sorts of stuff like that this can do. Text transformations left and right. All right, let's move on to the next app that you have for us, Rosemary.
Yeah, so the next app I have is from Agile Tortoise. In fact, both of the next apps on my list are, and this is Terminology, which is a dictionary, and it's $1.99. And I know that there are lots of great dictionary applications out there, but for me, one of the great reasons why I love this is because if you can't remember quite how to spell something, and so you're there going, oh, right, like what is that letter in the middle? So I'm going to just try something here with a GH at the end. So EN star GH. So I've been able to put a star in here, which is a wildcard, and then I can search and it'll look for anything that starts with EN, has any number of letters, and then there's a GH. And then this is the beginning of the word. And so it will continue looking after that. So it has, for example, Enchanter's Nightshade, enlighten, enlightened, enlightening, enough, etc. And this is very helpful, I find, for example, my dad, who struggles with spelling at times, and he knows that there's like a sound in here, but he doesn't know exactly what it is. But he knows like the start and the end, or some of it along the way. And so this is a great way to do it. It's also a great way to cheat at Wordle if people do need to cheat at Wordle, but it does only support one wild card. So if you do need help with Wordle, then there are some other websites out there, wordle-helper.com, for example. But I find this to be quite useful. It integrates, of course, with a bunch of other things, and it's got the option to speak words, where it's speaking. I don't think that transferred through, but that could speak to me. It will allow you to favorite words. So when you are learning lots of new words, perhaps, you can copy it, you can look it up, Google it, Wikipedia it, and go to, I can't pronounce Wiktionary, I guess, is that one? Wordnik, Wolfram Alpha, etc. And then, of course, there's a share sheet option. So if I wanted to, I could share this with Mikah, and it would tell him exactly a cappella, or exactly what a cappella singing is, which somehow I think he already knew. But just in case, I could send this to you. And it is formatted in Markdown, which is quite nice. So yeah, there's a bunch of settings here. There's, being able to sync things through iCloud, and so on and so forth. But honestly, I just use it as a great quick way to look words up and find them when I'm double checking. Wait, is there another meaning to this word that I didn't realize before? That could perhaps imply something that I wasn't intending to say with my sentence, because that is, of course, always the danger of whenever you're actually writing.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break before we come back with some more great utilities. But I want to tell you about a new sponsor here on iOS Today that I'm so pumped about. Look, I used to do a sleep science podcast, right? We would talk about sleep and dream science, and sleep science and then dreaming. And so I have done lots and lots and lots and lots of research on sleep. In fact, I maintained a subscription to the journal Sleep. That's how much of a sleep science nerd I am. And so when I heard that 8 Sleep was going to be on the network, I had this smile on my face. I was so pumped about it. 8 Sleep is all about making sure that you can get the best sleep possible based on using what we know about what's best for your body when it comes to sleep. Good sleep, it's the ultimate game changer. I've come to learn that, and it's nature's best medicine. That is so true. It is the restorative thing that matters most. Consistent good sleep can help reduce the likelihood of serious health issues. It can decrease the risk of heart disease. It can lower blood pressure. It can even reduce the risk of Alzheimer's, all because of how restorative sleep is. It's very important that we hit all of those cycles, all of those stages of sleep whenever we are laying down for the night. Still, more than 30% of Americans struggle with sleep, and temperature, surprise, surprise, is one of the main causes of poor sleep. Look, I am a very, very warm sleeper. One could even say a hot sleeper. And I have always had the issue of being sweaty at night. And I would often have to kind of like wear more clothing in order to make myself feel comfortable at night so that I wasn't sweating into the bed. That is how warm I sleep. And what's fascinating is that sleep research tells us that your body gets its best sleep when it's sleeping in a very cold environment. and far colder, I think, than most people realize. And a lot of times we sort of associate this sort of cozy, warm feeling as the thing that we need to get the best sleep possible. Because when you're laying down and you warm up and you wrap yourself underneath the covers, that feels like it's right because it sort of relaxes your muscles and that kind of thing. But when it comes to sleep, that's not going to give you the best sleep you can possibly have. That is going to result, like it did for me, in poor sleep because of that temperature. Now, thanks to 8 Sleep, yes, they sent me the 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover. I'm falling asleep in record time. That is true. It used to take me a while to fall asleep and faster than I ever have before. The Pod Pro cover by 8 Sleep, it's the most advanced solution on the market for thermoregulation. That is, making sure that the temperature of your bed is at a good temperature for your sleep. It pairs dynamic cooling and heating with biometric tracking, so you can add the cover to any mattress and start sleeping as cool as 55 degrees Fahrenheit or as hot as 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Look, please don't sleep at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I know some of you, maybe someone very close to me who thinks that it's proper to sleep in heat, but it is not. Don't do it. I'm telling you, when you get this thing, which you absolutely should, you are going to be doing your body so many favors by using that cool temperature. The temperature of the cover will adjust each side of the bed based on your sleep stages, your biometrics, and the temperature of the bedroom, reacting intelligently to create the optimal sleeping environment. Yeah, this thing has sensors in it that will actually determine the temperature in the space and make sure that all of that adds up to provide you with that proper cool that you have. The result is that 8 Sleep users fall asleep up to 32% faster. It reduces sleep interrupters by 40%, and you get overall more restful sleep. It's super cool. I get a notification because you set a bedtime and you set kind of what temperature you think you want, which I knew I wanted it to be cool because I'm a hot sleeper, but also because I understand the science of sleep a little bit. And so I set my stuff to cool, and I got a notification saying, hey, the Pod Pro cover is going to start cooling things down so that by the time you get into bed, it'll be just there for you. And then it would lower that temperature throughout the night or raise it based on your sleep cycle, your natural sleep cycle. And what's cool is that during the first week, it goes through this process of trying to better understand you personally and will make adjustments to that temperature based on how your body is reacting to it. It's also a sleep tracker. Like, all of this stuff is built into the cover. This thing is magnificent. With 30% more deep sleep, that means that I can be confident that my mind and my body are moving through the restorative sleep stages that are vital for physical recovery, for hormone regulation, and for mental clarity. Yes, deep sleep is the most important stage of sleep for restoration. You can think of it as like the time whenever you, in the future, you crawl into a pod and you go into this deep restorative sleep, and your brain does all of the things that it needs to do to sort of cleanse itself. All of your body, your muscles, everything is working to improve during that period of sleep. And as we get older, that stage of sleep shortens and shortens and shortens and shortens. So it is important to make sure that you're getting the most restorative sleep you can, and 8 Sleep can help you do that. That means you can show up and be the best version of yourself. I wake up refreshed. I wake up and I have it set so that in the morning it warms up, and it's kind of a complete flip on things. And so it goes from this nice cool bed, and for me, that warmth in the morning is like, oh goodness, I need to get out of bed. I don't want to get sweaty. I don't like to be warm in bed, and so that helps me get up and get going. It's a really nice thing, and it also is sort of a slow process of waking up. And did I mention it also has a built-in alarm that you can use where it'll actually vibrate the bed underneath you so that you will wake up and not disturb your partner with a loud alarm sitting next to the bed going whap, 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 whap. No, this is just kind of a gentle vibration that's in it. Honestly, this thing is just amazing. Everybody should have one of these. I wish I could just throw them out like Oprah to everybody, because everybody deserves restful sleep. I'm not able to do that, but don't worry, I can give you a deal. You just go to 8sleep.com/iOS to check out the Pod Pro cover and save $150 at checkout. 8 Sleep currently ships within the USA, within Canada, and the UK. That's 8sleep.com/iOS. Check them out. Get the best sleep of your life. Yes, it's Mikah Sargent approved, as the site says. I have fully and officially given it my stamp of approval because my God, is this thing incredible. I love it. I love it. It also integrates with Apple Health. Like, I've got all of my sleep tracking information in there. It has smart home features too. I could go on, but I really can't. We got to get back to the show. But 8 Sleep, you rock. You rock my life. I'm so happy that you're a sponsor on the network. And I hope that everybody can get one of these Pod Pro covers or the Pod mattress and will sleep more restfully than they ever have before. Let's head back to the show. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the next awesome and useful utility you have for us.
Well, the next awesome utility that I have for you is a little tally counter, because I know a lot of people end up keeping track of things, how often did I do this or how often did I do that? And it's useful to just have a little tally. So I can, for example, keep track of the number of iOS Today episodes I've recorded really simply. And so this is Tally, a quick counter. It's a free app. It's from Agile Tortoise, as was Terminology. That's the creator of the Great Drafts app. But what I like about this is I can have multiple different tallies going on. And so I can keep track of a lot of things, which can be really useful if, for example, you've got different kids and you need to keep track of lots of different things for them. But for each one, I can also do things like give it a title. If I need to, I can just go in and type in the current value. No, I didn't sit here tapping at my iPhone 596 times during the ad break to try and get it up to 596, which is today's episode number. But I can also change things like the step type. So for example, if I need to increment in 5s, then I can do that. And so then when I go up or down, then it will, go up and down by 5 or whatever the step type is that I set. And I can also set a reset number, which is really useful. So for example, if you never want it to go back below, in this particular case, 596, then you can do that. You can also choose for each tally whether or not tapping the screen should increase or decrease your count. So if, for example, you've started with 100 or something and you're going down to 0, then tapping your screen can decrease the number instead of increase it. And you can specify for each one whether or not it should be included in your Today widget, which is something that you can have depending on, whether or not you're keeping track of lots of very important things that you need in front of you all the time. You can have it as a Today widget if you like, or you can just, enjoy the fact that Tally is a really simple little utility app. And if you've got multiple tallies, you can even, just keep track of them through the menu. You don't even have to go to an individual tally. There's also an Apple Watch app, which is really useful, especially if you are keeping track of sports games. For example, if you're refereeing or something, then being able to keep track of who's got how many points or has scored however many goals, whatever it is, can be really useful.
Indeed. I like those, especially those super simple apps that just make things kind of zoom past. What's next? This one is an app for, is this for Wikipedia?
Yeah. So years ago, and I think this was Sarah Lane back in the day, because Sarah Lane, of course, was one of the original hosts of iOS Today here on
iPad
Twitch.
Today at the time, yeah.
Yes, iPad Today, as it was. And I believe it was a utility app back then that mentioned Wikipanion. And Wikipanion is a companion for Wikipedia, in case you didn't guess it from the little punny name. And so it's just a very simple application that allows you to easily search Wikipedia. So I was looking at John Deacon, for example, the other day. He was the bassist in the rock band of Queen. And then I tap on Queen and it takes me to Queen, and I can tap Brian May. It takes me to Brian May. But just like if you were searching on Wikipedia and I'll type in Queen, because this is a good example, it gives you all of those different search results with a little bit of a preview so that you can, figure out which one is which. And then, you can pop into things. But I do like the fact that there is an easy way to scroll through the different sections of the article or go to different categories which are related to this as well. So there's obviously the contents and so on. And I can search, I can share as well, which gives me some great options, but I can add bookmarks. And I know that for me, necessarily having bookmarks is not such a big deal, and I also know teachers say don't use Wikipedia as, as a source. And I would not recommend using Wikipedia as a source because it is both surprisingly easy and surprisingly difficult to edit Wikipedia. But what I do know a lot of students do is they'll go and read Wikipedia to get a good overview of, what are the main points it is I need to cover, and end up saving things as bookmarks. And so, being able to just quickly pop in and add a bookmark, or switch and view things in a different language. So, for example, if you are a German speaker and you usually search Wikipedia in German, but you'd like to have English as your alternative language, that is something that you can try, and you can have your search rerun in those languages, and do all sorts of things. So you can turn on and off different things, which I know for some people, being able to quickly see whatever it is in, multiple different languages can be very helpful, especially if you're dealing with something that doesn't translate necessarily one-to-one. Or, in the case of a lot of English words, we've just stolen it straight from another language.
Indeed. All right. I think we've got a few more to cover. This next one is I'm a fan as well of this app. And it is, I think, particular to smart home nerds, but is well worth discussing on the show because I know a lot of folks out there are HomeKit fans. And it can be kind of difficult whenever you install a bunch of different gadgets and gizmos, and then you need to get access to that code again. Oh no, I've got to unplug it, or I've got to look through my photos library and try and find it. There is a way to help with this. And Rosemary, what is that way to help with this?
Yeah, the way is HomePass for HomeKit. No longer do you have to go crawl behind the sofa to look for that smart plug, which has got the sticker on it, because hopefully when you set it up, you used HomePass for HomeKit to set up your all of your HomeKit passes, so that you can easily get to them anytime, any place. And of course, that means that you can easily show yourself a QR code later if you need to set this device up in HomeKit without having to go crawl behind the couch, because there is nothing worse than having to go crawl underneath a piece of furniture or just get to something that's got a slightly too short cable. My parents' IKEA hub is exactly like this. The cable is just a little bit too short to pull it out of the TV unit. So you end up like cramming yourself into the TV unit to try and scan it. So the whole point of HomePass for HomeKit is it lets you specify or set up all of your different home passes. So if I tap on the plus, then I can add an existing accessory or create a new accessory. And if I create a new accessory, which I'll do now, it will just let me input all of the data. But it means that I can easily, if I had a HomeKit barcode here, I could scan, and it's got even the flashlight option or the torch option there, which allows me to easily, light something up. And there's an NFC option too. You can give it names. You can specify what room and home things are in. You can even save things like the serial number, which model, categories. So for example, if you're adding a security system, you can file under security system, and some notes and custom fields. And I have to say, it's just a great, solid utility application. It is $2.99, and you know what? It has saved me considerably more than $2.99's worth of dust on my hair and face, as I dig through trying to set different things up. So I can easily just keep track of all of this different HomeKit stuff in one place. And it certainly makes my life a lot easier. And especially when you're managing things for other people, it's worth having, because that way,
especially
when my parents' stuff inevitably goes funny, usually because my dad unplugs something and is like, well, that's not important, is it? No, Dad, the Apple TV is very much not important to your HomeKit setup.
Oh, man.
I'll set it up again.
Right. I purchased a bunch of NFC stickers and went through my different HomeKit gadgets and gizmos that do plug in or are in weird places, and went through and created NFC versions of those codes for those different devices. And now it's super simple. If I do ever need to start fresh or add a device that I had to take off for whatever reason, I just hold my phone near the device and it scans that NFC code, and I'm able to use that to get the device onboarded instead of having to find the code and move my camera in just the right way and all that kind of stuff. So I love that NFC feature. I think it's really handy. And I'm glad that HomePass exists and we're able to keep track of all the different devices we have. I'm scrolling through mine like, oh man, some of these I have not even set up in my new home where I live now.
I should mention there is a great feature in this, which I forgot to mention before, which is export. And so you can export your devices to PDF or CSV, and it automatically backs things up in iCloud as well, which means that if you need to, you can just export everything as a nice PDF. And that will take a moment. And unfortunately, it's not giving me a preview, but it does have all the information that you might need on there, which is really great when you're there going, okay, so don't lose this piece of paper, mom and dad. They will lose the piece of paper. It's okay because you'll still have it in HomePass. But then you can give them a piece of paper which has got all that information on too.
All right. Next, say I have some really beautiful video. And in that video, there's just this really cool moment where a bird snatches a bagel out of the air that someone went to the bagel store and they ordered their bagel and they came outside and they were about to eat their bagel and it got very close to their teeth, so much so that as they breathed in, they realized, oh, this is an Asiago bagel and I wanted a French onion bagel, and they were disgusted. And so they took their bagel and they threw it in the air. And in this weird scenario, you are also filming at the same time. And as the person throws that Asiago disgusting bagel into the air, a bird flies by and catches that bagel and then flies off with it. And I just want to get that one moment where the bagel is in the bird's beak before it flies away. I guess I could scroll through the video and do a screenshot, but I think there's a better way, and I think you might know that better way.
There is indeed a better way because I solved almost this exact scenario for my dad. It was a seagull stealing some chips from somebody
That's
at a harbor
amazing.
nearby.
Folks, I didn't know this going into it.
You did. In full disclosure, he did not. He had no idea. Seagulls around here are well known for stealing any kind of food. Like you go outside with a pie and there's a seagull, you will not have a pie anymore. Even if the pie is as big as the seagull, it doesn't matter. They'll just take it and run. But the app that I found when my dad was looking for a solution to this is called Frame Grabber. It's a free app, and guess what? It allows you to grab a frame from a video. Yep, it's that simple, folks. So you pick a video, and I have this amazing 3-second recording of my keyboard. Oh my God, the cinematography is just wonderful. And so if I wanted to grab a particular frame from it, then I can pan through and I can just, move my finger along. And there's the trick as well, which I feel I should mention. The further you move your finger up the screen, the slower it moves when you move it across, which is quite a nice trick to know. That works in a lot of different applications. And you can also set a speed for scrubbing through. So if you want to scrub through at snail's pace, then you can do that, and it will let you when you tap play. It should slow things down a little bit for you. Which means that, once you find that perfect moment, then you can just tap on the little down arrow and it will just save it as a photo to your photos. That's it. It's very simple. You can choose whether or not metadata is exported, what kind of image format you want. Do you want HEIF, which is smaller file sizes, but usually, or at least previously Apple only. Windows and Linux do support that now. Quality, where should be exporting to, time format, and then metadata of things as well. So, all the data is there. You just need to go grab it. So go grab a frame from your video with Frame Grabber.
Nice. All right. Let's cover a couple more. The next one is one that I came across not too long ago. And well, actually, no, it has been a long time. And this was actually the one that when I talked at the top of the show about going through and auditing my apps and then realizing, oh, right, I've got this. I need to remember that I've got this. That would be this app. It's called Cheatsheet. And Cheatsheet is a way to just kind of keep bits of text and have them appear across multiple devices available at any time. So an example is maybe you've got I used it for a few things on my Mac before I then forgot about it. Maybe there's a link that you regularly visit that you want to have across different devices, or there's they show a car here, so you might have your VIN listed there. all sorts of reasons why you might want this. I like that it has widgets so that you can always keep that information available in a widget, and then on the Mac as well. It is free to download. It's $4.99 to sync across all devices. I do believe I own this. Okay, so I must own it on the Mac only. So I'm going to quickly just get this. Oh, it's making me sign in now. Do you want to talk about it while I sign in?
Yeah. So Cheatsheet is just a great way that I can then have data appear on multiple different devices. And what I love is that I can even put it in complications on my Apple Watch. So for example, I have one cheat sheet that I use whenever I go to a car park, basically any multi-story car park. And then I can just put the number in, and I use shortcuts to do this, Mikah. I don't know how everybody else would like to do this, but I use shortcuts to just update which level I've parked on for my car. And then that jumps over to a complication on my wrist. It's pinned in a widget on my home screen, and it's everywhere, which means that when I'm going back to the car park, I'm not going, wait a minute, was it level 7 or was it level 9 that I parked my car on? No, I can look at my wrist and see in the complication, it's level 4. You were going to shoot way past, and there's no lift in that car park. It's only stairs. So that would have been a lot of extra exercise for no good reason. So I use it for lots of little things like that. And I mean, it's one of those things where I could potentially use drafts for this, but I tend to actually end up using it for these things. So for example, when I'm staying in a hotel, I put my room number in here. When there's an Amazon delivery, don't worry people, this one arrived a little while ago, and it didn't really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the code. When there's an Amazon delivery coming, that's the delivery code, because again, that appears in a complication on my Apple Watch. So when the delivery person's at the door, I don't have to go, wait a moment, let me go find my phone, find the email, find the delivery code. I get it and I save it straight into the cheat sheet, and then it's there and it's easy to access on my wrist at all times, which makes it really easy. And look, Mikah, I've got a little note here. Henry doesn't like jumpers, and Mizzy is the dark one, and that's your dogs. I've got a little note about your dogs in here. So
bless.
There we go. I will let you show what you wanted to show now.
I was just logging in to see, and I had some notes in here as I was testing it. But it's one of those things where you look at your Twitter drafts and you go, what was I thinking about at that time? So yeah, I don't need to show them. There's nothing of interest there. That was just kind of as I was testing it out to see how well it worked on the different devices, syncing between the Mac and iOS. Really nice little handy. Take a quick note, make sure you can see it on everything so you can pull it up no matter where you are. I like that they show room 237 on there. That's one thing. I haven't been to a lot of hotels recently, or I guess in the last 3 years, but when I have gone to hotels in the past, I tend to forget the room number that I am in, and I've got the key card, and I'm going, oh no, which one do I slide this into? I don't remember which room is mine. That's always very stressful. So that's nice to have that right there. You can go just swipe over, see the widget that says, hey, goof, your room is 237. All right. Why don't you round us out with just a couple of more useful utilities that you want to cover, and then we will head into the news next.
Yeah. So one that I do want to mention, again, it's a HomeKit related one, but I'm sure some people would like this. And this is SensorKit Smart Home Widgets. And so I have a widget here, and this is all SensorKit does. It puts a widget on your home screen, and then you can track the status or whatever something is sensing. So for example, the right patio door lock in my main room is currently locked. Great. And if I tap it, then it opens the app and it tells me all the different kinds of sensors that SensorKit supports. But that's it. You give it access to your HomeKit data, and then you can just change your sensor to, for example, look at the temperature of a room instead of a lock, and it will show you, what the temperature is. 18.4 degrees Celsius, people. Don't worry, my house isn't actually freezing. It's surprisingly warm. But it just gives you, data in a very easy to access manner. So I can check how bright a room is. For example, my living room is 1,490 lux right now. And it's nice to just be able to keep an eye on that information. And especially for things like locks or security systems, you might want to just be able to quickly, swipe through a stack of widgets to keep your peace of mind, which is always nice. And the final one I wanted to mention is a very niche one, because I know So I know some of our listeners will be like, what's a regular expression? And other people will be going, oh, regular expressions, great. I'd love a trick for that. So for people not going, oh yeah, regular expressions, a regular expression is a way that you can, go through a large chunk of text and get very specific information out. And so there's an app that I've got installed on my phone called RegEx Lab, which is 99 cents, which lets you do regular expressions on your phone, and also very easily, try things out. And they've got some examples in here. So for example, matching hex values. So the colors where there's 6 digits, and it's hexadecimal. So 0 through to 9, A to F, beginning with a hash. There's a pattern for this here, and it shows you which ones match, and you can sort of cycle through and see which ones work. And there's examples for matching a list, and unfortunately I've removed the example there, but there's lots of useful little things that you can do with this. And I find it's always when I've only got my phone with me that I end up needing to do something like this, to just sort something out. And so it's good to have RegEx Lab in my pocket if I need it. And I find if it's there, then I end up just using it from time to time. And it solves some little text problems for me, which is always nice.
Nice. Yeah, I do. I love having some sort of tool to be able to, because I'm not super versed in regular expressions. And so I will often use that tool first before I go to my sort of last hurrah, which is to very kindly text Rosemary Orchard and say, am I doing this wrong?
And the answer is never that you're doing it wrong. It's just that you've got something very complex that you're trying to do and you just need a bit of help.
Yeah. Yeah. Rosemary is very nice in those situations, and I always appreciate that. All right, let's take a quick break before we come back with the news. I want to tell you about Wealthfront, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. Look, stock trading can be a wild ride, but the thrill of risking it all, well, that's best enjoyed in moderation, like casino gambling and eating questionable street food. If you're playing the market, I hope for your sake that you're stashing some safer money in a place like Wealthfront. You might think that day trading stocks is the secret to investing success, but Wealthfront has a ton of data to show that time in the market almost always beats timing the market. Their globally diversified portfolios automatically optimize to hit the goals you set and the risk level you choose, and also to get you automatic tax breaks that can boost your returns even when the market dips. Yeah, it's called tax loss harvesting, and they actually invented the software. You can look it up. You can also personalize your portfolio with a selection of funds handpicked by Wealthfront's financial experts. Categories include social responsibility, clean energy, and cryptocurrency. And look, Wealthfront is trusted with more than 27 billion. Yes, billion with a B dollars in assets, helping nearly 500,000 people build their wealth. And Investopedia just named them their best robo-advisor for 2022. Pretty amazing, considering this year isn't even halfway over yet, right? To start building your wealth and get your first $5,000 managed for free for life, go to wealthfront.com/iOS today. That's wealthfront.com/iOS today to start building your wealth. Go to wealthfront.com/iOS today and get started today. All right, back from the break, and up first is... That's the breaking news sound, because we do officially have a date for WWDC, Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. This is the time when Apple reveals the next iterations of those operating systems we talk about here on iOS Today. The next version of iOS, the next version of iPadOS, watchOS, HomePodOS, tvOS, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. WWDC is now officially scheduled for Monday. Interesting. June 6th. We don't have a time yet for the keynote event where Apple will show off all of the new stuff, but it tends to be that the keynote happens 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific time, and then after that is Apple's State of the Union, where they have a sort of in-depth look at all of the software software and features that they announced earlier in the day. So this is very exciting, Rosemary.
It is. It is. They literally just announced it. Like, I hadn't even put it in my calendar, but I was so busy making sure all the links were in the show notes, because that's how recent this recently this was announced. But it is exciting. It's going to be in person and online. And so there's going to be a limited in-person attendance for it's one day for developers and students at Apple Park to watch those two videos. But they are, of course, as always, hosting their Swift Student Challenge. So if any of the audience are budding Swift developers, or they know people who are budding Swift developers, then that's a good opportunity to challenge yourself. And of course, if you're eligible to enter, to potentially get a trip to WWDC for the day, which would be pretty cool. So I am pretty excited to see what we get. There's a lot of things that we're still learning about iOS 15. So who knows what iOS 16 and its friends have to bring.
Yes, should be interesting. All right. This is a really cool piece over Mac Rumors. Kind of went through talking about universal control, and they recently had a conversation on the App Stories podcast about universal control with Vivek Bhardwaj, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing the name incorrectly, who's an Apple product manager who works on iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, to talk about universal control. This was multiple years in the work, right?
Yeah, it was. So Vivek was interviewed on App Stories, which is the MacStories, MacStories.net podcast. And basically, the way that it was described, and I would recommend people go and listen if they can, because it was a really interesting interview, is essentially this feature, universal control, has got so many layers. It's like an onion. Think of Shrek, where this is like an onion. So, you've had like the universal clipboard for ages, and AirDrop and things like that. But all of those things have sort of linked and layered together to bring us what is universal control now. And it is genuinely a really great feature. They've still got the beta tag on there. To me, honestly, there are features in production which feel less stable than this. And so I am very impressed with this. But it was really interesting to learn a little bit more about this. And also he touched a little bit on shortcuts for the Mac and what it means for automation in that. So anybody who's really looking to nerd out some more might find that is an interesting interview to check out.
Indeed. All right, this next one is a really interesting one to me because it wasn't just too terribly long ago that my partner said to me, why I have auto update turned on for my iPhone where I should be getting the next version of iOS, and why do I never get that update? Why is it always that you end up saying, hey, you should update, and that is what installs the update, rather than that button that toggle that I've turned on that does the auto update not actually working and doing the update when I expect it to? And that was because I said, hey, yay, I can finally send you the new emoji because you can update to the latest version of iOS. And so then he went into the settings and and saw that the update was available. And so I have wondered that myself because I have auto update turned on a lot of my devices, but I always end up going in and doing it and actually downloading the update right away. So somebody said, you know what, I'm kind of sick of hearing or I'm kind of sick of having this happen and not knowing what's going on. So I'm going to send an email to Craig Federighi, who is the Senior Vice President of Software Engineering at Apple. And I'm going to ask, why is it that the auto update feature doesn't seem to work? Well, it turns out that this is a feature, not a bug. Craig Federighi basically explains that for people who want to get the update automatically, obviously, whenever it is made available, and we see it on different sites, 9to5Mac, Mac Rumors, that the new version is available, imore.com, we go and download them. That means that they have made the feature or the new update available to those who are seeking them out via the settings app. But for folks who have auto update turned on, Apple purposely waits to roll that out between 1 and 4 weeks later so that there's time for some feedback from the seekers, the people who go and do the update automatically, to get to Apple. and make sure that everything's good to go before they roll it out to the auto update, which is the larger portion of folks who go or who don't go in and do it, who just have their phones update automatically. So this is a really brilliant way to make sure that there's a bit of quality control involved, that the folks who really want it right then, right away, those are obviously the folks who are the most hungry for it, who are going to notice things are wrong. So they get it. They get to say, hey, I think this is bad or this is good. And then it gets to the place where the people who just sort of let the thing happen passively get it after it's been through that kind of first rigorous test. This is very smart.
Yes, it is. It's also smart from a networking and management perspective. If you've got for example, if you've got a company full of employees, you've given everybody an iPhone and everything's trying to update on day one after the update, that's going to completely and utterly slam your network. And even with caching set up, that's really going to mean that every single device is trying to download all of the same thing at the same time. And it just ends up slowing things down. And if there is a problem, everybody's got that same problem immediately. So this is a smart way to make sure that, things roll out at a reasonable pace that isn't too speedy. And Craig Federighi did say it takes 1 to 4 weeks for all of the devices with auto update enabled to receive that. So I presume if there is a critical security fix, then they're going to be bringing that a lot closer to the 1 week than they are going to be pushing it to the 4 week. Whereas something like new emoji, they know that people are going to go look for the update for new emojis. So they might just push that one out to 4 weeks because, of course, it's not just your network that gets hammered. It's also their network that gets hammered every time that there's a new update. So it's worth knowing about how this works. And I'm really pleased that Craig Federighi responded to this. It's always nice when the Apple VPs or, important people step up and answer those questions that we all have.
I agree. And then this is a pretty exciting thing for folks who have had a pregnancy and no longer have a pregnancy or in the postpartum stage. There are going to be Apple Fitness Plus there's going to be an Apple Fitness Plus program tailored for postpartum fitness. So that is like about a year after pregnancy, these exercises are specific to that. It was unclear to me when I was reading this morning when these will be available precisely, but it says that they include strength and core exercises, pelvic floor exercises, and more. So this is pretty exciting. We keep seeing Apple roll out more and more fitness programs for different folks going through different things.
Yes, we do. So they added the pregnancy workouts approximately 9 years ago, and as 9 to 5 Max says, it's a real shame that postpartum didn't come like 9 months later. That would have just been the cherry on the cake there to make that more entertaining. But they've got, I believe it's 10 episodes in the Stay Active During Pregnancy program. And then by the looks of my phone, it's saying that there are currently 7 episodes in the Get Back to Fitness After Having a Baby section, which is available there. And these are designed to be relatively short. I believe Apple are aware that having a newborn might mean that you don't have a couple hours to go and devote to some time at the gym. So they've got things, some of them which are they're all, just 10 minutes long, with the idea being that you can, do multiple if you've got time, or if you don't have time, then one is better than none. So hopefully for those people who are, trying to get back to being their fit and healthy selves after pregnancy, this will give them a hand. And I'm quite pleased to see that they are adding things like this, and it would be good to see them, expand to all sorts of things like that in the future.
Absolutely. And then last but not least for the news segment, everybody should, as we were just talking about, update your devices. There's an update for iPadOS, for tvOS, for Apple TV, and watchOS, as well as iOS. So all of these updates do provide different things. In the case of the iPhone, there's an update that will help with some battery life issues. For macOS, there's an update that fixes Bluetooth controller support. There was an issue with the last version of macOS. And then for all of them, there are some security features that needed updating, some zero-day flaws that needed to be taken care of. So always worth updating to these point releases, even if they don't include anything fun like new emoji. These will keep your devices safe, locked up tight, and free from being exploited, which is very important. All right. With that, we have reached the end of news, so it's time to head into Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where folks write in with their Shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, the Shortcuts expert, provides a response. Before we get into the Shortcuts Corner request of the week, let's talk about a very exciting announcement. Share with us what you've got for us, Rosemary.
Yeah, so I don't know how many people listening to the show or watching the show are already familiar with MacStories.net and Federico Viticci, who is the founder of MacStories. But over at MacStories, they are having an event called Automation April, which is a month-long community event about automation, where they're featuring shortcuts, interviews, they've got Discord workshops, and there's a shortcuts contest going on. And I know every time I'm doing Shortcuts Corner, some of the people who are watching along live are, posting in the chat room or our Club Twit Discord, sharing, their solutions or their questions for things. And so I was sure that there would be some people who would be interested in learning about some of these things. And I should mention that, there's a contest. Contests mean prizes. So if you do enter the Shortcuts contest, there are 4 categories that you can enter: best productivity shortcut, best media shortcut, best HomeKit shortcut, and best Mac specific shortcut. But there's also an overall winner for best shortcut, which gets to take home a XL Stream Deck, which is so Mikah and I have both got Stream Decks, and I'm going to really struggle to pick this up now because it's on my desk wrapped in all the cables. But the Stream Deck are the devices that we often use while we're recording to switch between, showing our iPhone or not showing our iPhone, as the case may be, and things like that. And so there's some pretty cool prizes here and some pretty great things to learn, I would hope. So I'm one of the judges, as is David Sparks, my co-host on Automators. Obviously, Federico Viticci is, Alex Cox, John Voorhees, Matthew Casanelli, who was Micah's co-host here on Twit for a while, Simon Stovring, who creates a bunch of, shortcuts-related apps, Jason Snell of Six Colors, Chris Lawley, all sorts of great people. So feel free to go check that out, folks, and learn some stuff about shortcuts that you might not already know, because there is some great stuff coming in the works. So I thought it was worth sharing with people. And of course, feel free to enter. And yes, you can try to bribe me, and I will spend a whole extra 3 seconds looking at your entry, but I will be judging all the entries fairly. But please do give me a heads up if you enter, because I would love to feature your shortcut here on iOS Today in the Shortcuts Corner.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Oh, that's so fun. I'm looking forward to this. All right. Shortcuts Corner request from Soph or Soph. I'm going to go with Soph, but we'll who knows?
It's Soph, I believe short for Sophie.
Excellent. So Soph has written in, how can I set conditional reminders? As an example, if I'm at home after 9 a.m., set a reminder to do this, or set a reminder for 30 minutes after I arrive home. So I want to set a reminder, but only in specific situations.
Yeah. So this is a question that a better friend of mine had yesterday, and I expanded it a little bit because I see lots of similar questions to this coming up. And so I thought it would be a great way to show people how you can do something like this. So I've got 2 different solutions here, depending on what kind of thing it is that you want to do. So for example, remind me if I'm at home, and only if I'm at home. And so what we need to do for this is actually use a shortcuts automation. And so inside of the automations, what you would do is you would create a personal automation for a time of day, because this can run entirely automatically. And then you could say, for example, run it at, 9:01 or something, because then if I'm at home after 9 a.m., then that will be running. So it will be running at 9 a.m. regardless of whether or not you're at home. And that's the bit that we'll need to sort out. So you would turn off Ask Before Running when you set this up, but I've done this in a shortcut so I can actually share it with people, because that makes it a little easier. So the way that I'm checking whether or not I'm at home is I use my Wi-Fi network. because my Wi-Fi network's name is the Promised LAN. There's not that many the Promised LAN out there. And so what I do is I get my Wi-Fi network's network name, and then I check if it's not that, then I just stop the shortcut and that's it. I don't need to do anything else. But if it is that network, then it's going to continue. And so I just get 5 minutes after the current date, and then I add a little reminder for whatever it is. And this could be used for all sorts of things like, don't forget to do laundry today if you're working from home or something like that, whatever it is. There's plenty of choices. So this is how I solve the remind me at this time if I'm at home, because it's only going to continue running and add that reminder for in 5 minutes if you are at home. But the other one that I've seen several times crop up, and this has cropped up a couple of times in the Club Toad Discord, is folks asking, hey, so how can I be reminded 30 minutes after I get home? I don't want to be reminded as soon as I get home because I'm just overwhelmed with all the things. Give me half an hour. And this is something where you can actually use focus modes as a little trick to work this out. So I'll just pop into the settings to open up the focus modes and show people what I mean. Because, you could use one of your existing focus modes, especially if you don't use all your focus modes, or you can create a custom one for this. But I'm going to use the personal one, and then you would turn on a schedule or an automation to add it to a specific location. Okay, I'm not going to do this right now because if I do, it's going to show my actual location, which is not precisely what I wanted. But then, so you can have your focus mode turn on when you arrive at a specific location. This is something I do for example, my ballet class. I go to ballet and it turns on my fitness focus mode. And so when your focus mode turns on, that is something that can trigger an automation. Now you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to leave I don't want to go through and set it up so all of the notifications and stuff always go through. Do not worry. That is something that we can sort out. So if you say when my personal focus mode turns on, then the very first thing that you can do is you can turn off your focus mode. Okay, that would be the first action that you do here. And so I will just, there we go, set focus, set personal to off, done. Okay, and then we need the rest of the shortcut. And again, I've created this in a shortcut that we can actually share with you. And that's called Remind Me in 30. So what I've done inside of my Reminders app is I've actually created a list for at home. And this should actually hopefully be here now. There it is. Perfect. So your list for at home means that you can then say to the lovely device that lives inside of your device, lovely voice that lives inside your device, hey Apple lady, add blah, blah, blah to my at home list. Okay. And then when you get home, your phone will turn on your personal focus mode. Okay. And your automation turns off your personal focus mode and it does this. So it's going to add 30 minutes to the current date and time, and it's going to look for everything in your at home list, which is not completed. And then it'll go through each one, and it's just going to add 1 minute to the time every time and set the deadline of that reminder to whatever that is, which means that you're also not going to have 16 different things showing up. You'll get one, and a minute later, the next one, and so on and so forth. So hopefully this will give some people some ideas of various different things that you can do. But turning a focus mode on is something your phone can do for you, which means that you can work around the fact that locations and shortcuts need you to confirm it, which means you're not going to remember to actually go tap the thing on your phone to say, yeah, do the thing for me. Turn on the focus mode instead, and then turn it back off. And so that you don't have to worry about whether or not you are still going to get your notifications through. You can just use it as a proxy for your location.
Very cool. Very cool. And incredibly involved, but luckily we can share those links with you in the spreadsheet, or in the show notes, so you'll have that available to you. All right, we're going to take a quick break before we come back with some feedback and questions and our app caps. I do want to tell you about another fantastic sponsor. It's Hover, who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. It's time to make big plans and let Hover help you achieve them. If you're a blogger, if you're creating a portfolio, if you're building an online store, or maybe you just want to make a more memorable redirect to one of your social media sites or maybe your LinkedIn page, well, Hover has the best domain names and email addresses just for you. Email at your domain name is key to connecting with customers and building trust for your brand. They have domain-based emails for all your needs, small or large, and it's so easy to get those set up. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need, and when your domain renews, your mailboxes will too. Also, the prices are unbeatable. Their most popular mailbox is a no-brainer solution for business owners. You can get access from anywhere just by using the email app you're already comfortable with. And if apps aren't your thing, well, their webmail can be accessed wherever you are. I love Hover because they make it so easy to go on and get domains as you want to. So you go to the Hover website and there's a big old search bar where you can type in something. So maybe it's birds eating bagels. And if I type in birds eating bagels, and I search for it, then what happens is Hover will show me all the different options that are available for birds eating bagels, like the .com one, which is available for $13.99, which I'm going to try to resist purchasing during this show. It is a very handy way to be able to quickly grab a domain. Going through the process is super simple. What I love too is like sometimes you have a really good idea for a domain, but maybe it's not, maybe it's already been taken. Hover does a good job of recommending other suggestions that may be similar to the one that you were hoping to get that wasn't available. And what I love about Hover is that they're not there to upsell you on stuff you don't need. They just want to help. They've got pro-level tools, powerful domain and email management tools that are intuitive. They're easy to use. It doesn't matter if you're a web pro or you're just getting started. I was at one point a just getting started and Hover was easy. And now as something in between a just getting started and a web pro, Hover remains simple, but also has those powerful tools I need when I need them. With Whois privacy protection included with your domain purchase, yes, it's not an upsell. Your private information will remain just that. It's going to remain private. It's a great way to reduce spam and protect yourself from unwanted solicitations. I remember buying a domain from some other place for some foolish reason. It was before I knew about Hover. And within the next week, I had in the mail this like pack of stickers and pens, cheap pens with my name and address on them because the site that was making these things had scraped my data from online and sent those to me in the mail. Yeah, it's pretty scary. So use Hover, which will keep that stuff private and secure. Hover Connect lets you pick the service you want to use to build and host your website, and Connect helps you start using your domain name with just a couple of clicks. So if you've got a specific idea in mind and you're going, oh man, I don't know how that's going to all get set up, they've got some ways to help you make that process easier. At Hover, you're a customer. You're not a source of data. Take back control of your data with reliable, tracker-free email. Hover is trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers, myself included, who use their domain names and email, yes, I use both, to turn their ideas into a reality. Whether you're a developer, a photographer, or small business, Hover has something you need to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit for 10% off your domain extension for a full year. And of course, we thank Hover for their support of this show. All right, moving back into the show, we've got some feedback and questions here. The first one comes from Michael. Michael writes, I am listening to the latest episode of iOS Today. During Shortcuts Corner, Rosemary was talking about notifications. As I was watching her set the shortcuts up, she went into Settings, Notifications. Under Siri, she has an option that says Announce Notifications. I am trying to find this. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max and I'm running 15.4. I do not show this option on my notifications section. So I responded to Michael ahead of the show, but said, hey, we're going to cover this on the show because this is a great question that needs an answer. And for Michael and other people who was watching when Rosemary was talking about how to get Siri to announce notifications for specific things, you're going, why is that not showing up for me? You have to have a specific pair of headphones or earbuds that are supported for this feature. So, for example, Siri will announce incoming notifications with AirPods Max, with AirPods second generation or later, with AirPods Pro, with Beats Fit Pro, with Power Beats Pro, and with Beats Solo Pro. So all Apple headphones. Now, one might think that this is because Apple is reserving the best features for its own devices, and that is a reasonable thought. But also consider that this is a very processor heavy feature, and that it may be that this is a way to sort of maintain battery life while also providing something such as announcing notifications by way of the special chip that Apple has included for its own kind of personal Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth with some Apple Magic sprinkled on top that you can get with these devices. So if you're not seeing it in your settings, you need to connect a pair of Siri or a pair of these supported headphones or earbuds in order to use that feature. It only works with those. All right, this next one comes from Jeremy. Jeremy says, thank you for covering my question on an alarm automation. I wasn't trying to use scenes, just adding the individual HomePods to the automation. That's mostly because I didn't see using a scene for playing news all that often. But your description of how to change which audio to play works either way. Unfortunately, as Mikah alluded to on the show, you can't even get to the Apple Podcasts app. You are stuck with whatever is in music, and there aren't that many news sources in music, at least trying to search through the music app. I was able to find one station here in the States that plays Aunt Beeb, so I'll give that a go and see how it works out. Thanks again for the info and the lovely show, Jeremy. So Jeremy was saying, hey, I want to basically kind of have a start my day automation where things kick off and over my HomePod, I can hear the day's news. And unfortunately, you can get stuff to play on a HomePod, but it's only via Apple Music. And so if you don't have like a podcast option where you could actually listen to news, and I was thinking specifically of Apple News's own podcast, then you're kind of not in a good place. But is there a way to make this happen outside of the Apple Music library?
Yeah. So what Jeremy asked was just how you could select different kinds of media to play back, which is what we covered on last week's show. But what you could do, and this is obviously not quite as perfect as the Google Home audio options that he was using before. But what you can do is you can use a shortcuts automation to play a podcast. So for example, and I'm going to guess by Beep that you are looking for the BBC, and I don't actually have a BBC option here. So I will just go ahead and select something useful like iOS Today. iOS Today, I hear, is a pretty good show. But you can use a shortcuts automation to play a podcast. And then what you'll need to do is you'll want to set the playback destination to your HomePods or change your playback destination. So that would mean that you can change it to, for example, one or multiple. So I can set it, or I can add the bedroom, for example, to my playback destination. So it will play in my bedroom and or kitchen, and then I could do this multiple times if I want this in lots of places. So what I would do there is split this up, which is not great. I will admit I don't love splitting things like that up. But if I split this up, then I can have a personal automation that will play whichever podcast it is I want, and I can have everything else happen as well. And in my personal automation, you remember just now in Shortcuts Corner, I showed people to check whether or not you were at home. In your personal automation, you might want to do that too, so that you check if you're at home. And if you're not at home, maybe you don't try playing it on your bedroom speakers, just in case. It shouldn't work because you're not going to be on the same network, but it might give you some unexpected results, let's say.
Yeah, indeed. It just might. All right, folks, it is time for App Caps. This is the part of the show where we wear caps atop our heads to honor our app or gadget picks of the week. These are the apps or gadgets we are using now that we want to share with all of you. And we wear goofy hats or caps for fun to go along with it. Sometimes goofy, sometimes just very delightful. In any case, Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap atop your head and then tell us about your app pick of the week.
Well, the hat atop my head is the one that I pulled out this week when it suddenly took a turn for the chillier back over here in the UK. And so I've got a lovely little cream knit beret with some little beads on it because it's nice and toasty, but it doesn't take up a lot of space in my handbag. So that is my cap. My app pick for the week actually starts with a notebook. And this is a Rocketbook. So for people who have never heard of the Rocketbook before, this is a erasable notebook. So you use Pilot Friction pens, which are heat erasable pens, and then you write into your notebook. Now, I've specifically written with a highlighter so that everybody can see my handwriting, but I can actually, just rub out the little dot on the exclamation mark. But of course, I'm not just talking about a notebook here. I'm actually talking about a smart solution involving my iPhone, because the Rocketbook comes with a little QR code on the bottom corner, inside corner of every single page, which means that I can scan my page and actually put it into my iPhone. And so I will just pop open my iPhone here. And as you can see, it's in Scanbook. And so I can select if I'm using my Rocketbook or the beacons. So for anybody who uses a whiteboard somewhere, you can buy Rocketbook beacons as well, which are little orange corners that you pop onto the corners of a whiteboard. And then it will help the Rocketbook app identify those. So I will do this, and then I'll just move the cable out the way, and then it's attempting to scan, and I'm not holding very still, but there we go. It's figured it out, and that is my scan. Now, this is perhaps a little difficult to read because I've scanned it on an iPhone, and I've got particularly bad handwriting, so I was trying to write with a highlighter, but it's even captured the different shades of purple inside of the writing that I was using. So it says, "Hey everyone, I hope you're having a great day today." And so I can tap to go ahead and just share this, or I can go back and then I can say next to say that I'm done. And then I can say, share it to, for example, email, which is sending to one of my private relay emails, or I can just share it. And then I will be able to come back and actually review this later, which makes it really easy for me to capture my notes and things as I go, because as much as I love technology, and I am very nerdy, sometimes I just need to quickly scribble something out, and having this nearby makes it very easy for me to do so. And being able to easily scan it makes it much easier for me to keep up with it. Now, I should note that the way that this works is essentially the border of every single page has got a little black area around it. And so it uses the QR code to try and figure out which page it is. And then it uses a little black border to identify where the corners of the page are, making it easier for it to scan. So you could replicate this with, of just paper and a border and the built-in iOS scanning app. But I have to say, I do like the fact that this, for me, does what I need it to. And it allows me to just easily keep track of everything as I want or need to. And being able to scan stuff is pretty useful, especially when you just wanted to scribble something down. The Rocketbook comes in a couple of different sizes and options with the friction pens or the beacons. And I have to say, it's a useful notebook that I actually like. And I believe, Mikah, you might have obtained one recently after talking to me on the Automators podcast. So I'm not the only person on this podcast.
You sold a couple of us on the friction pens and the Rocketbook notebook. That definitely was a thing that happened. I've got highlighters over here too. The friction highlighters. Oh, so nice. And that is all your fault.
Yeah, it's okay. It's my
okay,
fault,
it made
but
me
I'm willing to
happy.
accept blame. Yeah.
They're fantastic. I love them.
Yes.
So I am wearing, once again, a king's crown on my head. I need to get some new hats. I'm running out. I have run out of hats. Even the ones that I've sort of cycled in again are pretty recognizable for folks who watch the show every week. But the app that I want to talk to you this week about is called Wildflowers. It's available as part of Apple Arcade, which is a $4.99 a month subscription, unless you are already a member. Or rather, unless you are not yet a subscriber, in which case I think you can get a month for free at the very least. So this is a little RPG, a little witchy RPG that builds in a lot of different stuff. There's sort of a farming mechanism. There's some magic involved. There's exploration. So I play this character who is coming to town after being away for a while. And she basically is hanging out with her grandma and kind of learning a little bit about her past as she gets to know the different people in the town. And you can see here that I am currently growing potatoes, a humble but delicious tuber that grows in spring. Sell it to Lena or cook with it. So Lena is, I believe, one of the chefs in the city, and then some green beans. So this is the immediate area where you and your grandma live, and you sleep in the main building here, but also in this little area. This is the shed, and you can start to create things after you have gained them. So a paper press, a candle maker, a juice press, a fermentation barrel. So you can see I need 20 wood and 2 iron ingots. And those I can make, I imagine, or buy, depending on where I am. So I'm going to come out of here and we'll go back to this main area and head into the town. You can see it's 4:20 p.m. right now. So time obviously moves faster in this city than it does in real life. And you have controls to slow down time or speed up time as you wish. This is the blacksmith. And you can see that there are dates where the blacksmith Natalia is available and when Natalia is not available. And also we'll be able to turn ore that I get into actual stuff. So let's see. Oh, yes. So it's Tuesday and it's 5 p.m. And so Natalia is probably about to head home. That's why the door opened like that. So I won't be able to talk to Natalia today. But as I walk around, there may be people to talk to. There's stuff you can purchase. And there are little goals that you're trying to compete. So the first one is to make potatoes, to eat something. So you can buy things or you can grow them and eat them. And then I need to go around and say hi to everyone. I've met 15 people so far, but there's still some folks left. These are the residences that I've come across and my relationships with those different people, stuff that they might have available or stuff that they like, because you can give gifts. And then the crafting abilities that you have so far. You can make fresh squeezed orange juice with a juicer in your tool shed, and then it can be sold to Sophia. So there's lots involved in this. I've just kicked off this game and had forgotten about it actually for a little while. Let me try to pet the cat. I think I can pet the cat. Yeah. So you can have a little interaction with the cat. Oh. And the cat purrs, and now my relationship with the, quote, strange cat, unquote, has improved. And you see my energy there at the top is actually pretty low. So what I'm going to do as it's getting a little dark outside is head back to Grandma's house. And by the way, I'm using the keyboard arrows on my iPad Pro to do this, but you can connect a controller or you can use on-screen controls just simply by tapping your finger to the screen and moving it around to be able to make adjustments that way. So I'm going to head inside now and go ahead and go to bed.
Is it time for bed?
Yes, it's time for bed. At 6:30 p.m. I could have also fed her, in which case then she would not have had to go to bed. I think the first night I went to bed, there was like this dream that she had that kind of hinted at what would be happening later on in the game. So this is a game that's a pretty... oh, no. Grandma's not feeling well.
Oh, are your allergies acting up?
Oh, no, it's all the dust in the front room.
Oh, Grandma needs help
But
with sweeping.
Sweeping makes my back ache, so I've turned a blind eye for...
Oh, my. Months of no sweeping, Grandma.
But that's exactly what I'm here to help with, Grandma.
Then would you mind showing those dust bunnies? the
Show those dust bunnies the front door, darling.
Use?
You wait out here. Those dust bunnies have no idea what's coming for them.
She's very excited about cleaning away dust bunnies. I wish I was that
She
excited
is.
about cleaning away dust bunnies.
And she's welcome
Oh.
to come over to my house and clean out some
Right?
dust bunnies if she
Wow,
likes.
means real headway.
Uh-oh. I bet there's going to be something under the rug. I knew it!
Actual trapdoor? Jeez, Grandma. What are you keeping down there?
What could she ever be keeping down?
So, the trapdoor under the rug?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Scissors and pickles? Or old machinery?
It's not important, honeybee.
Oh, my.
Would you be out and about tonight?
Probably, but
could you fetch me some moonflower? It only blooms after sunset. You'll know it by the white blossoms. See, my moonflower tea blend makes me feel so healthy. Blush on these old cheeks. Go right past Parker's workshop into the woods and you'll find what you need.
I feel like I'm getting redirected.
Right. I kind of want to go check
It's
the...
awfully hard to hear certain things. Did you put the rug back in place?
Yes, Grandma, but are you brewing moonshine down there? You can tell me if you're brewing moonshine.
I can already...
Oh my
taste
goodness,
that.
Grandma is a gaslighter. Gaslighting
Yep,
Grandma.
yep. Grandma
Wow.
is not going to tell people what is up there.
Yeah, so I guess we cannot now see. Yeah, look, Grandma's like, I'm sitting.
Yep.
I'm going to sit right over this trapdoor. You're not going anywhere near that. So this just got very
we're
interesting.
We're going to set you some homework, Micah. So you're
Yeah,
going to have to report back
exactly.
next week.
I will definitely report back. The game, if I remember correctly, saves automatically, but I want to make sure. So yeah, here are the controls, the different options for controls, including like tap and drag versus the joysticks, which you can have on the screen. And those are independent of using the arrow keys to control that. Excuse me, there are some other options, again, like changing the day speed and making some adjustments if you don't like the music, for example, seeing achievements and things like that. And then if I choose exit to menu, it will save my progress in the game and I can hop back in at any time. So let me bring that down, is Wildflowers. Again, available as part of Apple Arcade, so $4.99 a month, or it is, you can get a free trial of Apple Arcade if you'd like to do that as well. All right, with that, we have reached the end of this episode of iOS Today. You can email us, iOS2day@twit.tv, if you have questions, if you've got Shortcuts Corner requests. We record the show live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, so you can tune in live at twit.tv/live to watch us record it, see the flubs and all the fun stuff that happens that doesn't make it to the final episode. But we think the best way to get the show is honestly the final episode, which you can get by subscribing. Go to twit.tv/iOS if you haven't already and subscribe to audio or video. We're available in many places where podcasts are found: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We try to be in all those different places, so you can get us there, twit.tv/iOS. I should also mention Club Twit. If you want to support the show directly, if you want to support the network directly, you should check out Club Twit. For $7 a month, you not only are supporting the shows to make sure we can do them each and every week and bring them to you, but you also get every single Twit show ad-free, completely ad-free. You get access to the members-only Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else, including recently an AMA with Twit's own web engineer, Patrick Delahanty. I did an AMA with him, and I'm going to be doing AMAs with more people who are behind the scenes here at Twit. Looking forward to that. And access to the Club Twit Discord. It's a great place to chat with your fellow Club Twit members, as well as those of us here at Twit. If that sounds good to you, that's at twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month to join. And we appreciate you so much, to those of you who have joined the club and are helping us keep this thing going. I should also mention that if you would like to support this show quite literally directly, then you can do so with Apple Podcasts. In Apple Podcasts, you look up iOS Today, you find the audio version of the show, and there'll be an option to subscribe for $2.99 a month. By paying $2.99, you will get the ad-free version of the audio feed right there in Apple Podcasts. So that is a great way to support us as well. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where should they go to do so?
The best place is over at rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all the things I do on the internet and everywhere you can find me. And you can also find me in the Club Twit Discord and on Twitter with the usernames Rosemary Orchard. What about you, Mikah?
I am at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of iOS Today. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. We hope that you found these utilities as useful as we think they are, and we can't wait to see you again. Goodbye.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I'm joined by Tarek Malik, the editor-in-chief over at Space.com. in our new This Week in Space podcast. Every Friday, Tarek and I take a deep dive into the stories that define the new space age. What's NASA up to? When will Americans once again set foot on the moon? And how about those samples from the Perseverance rover? When are those coming home? What the heck has Elon Musk done now? In addition to all the latest and greatest in space exploration, we'll take an occasional look at bits of spaceflight history that you probably never heard of, and all with an eye towards having a good time along the way. Check us out on your favorite podcatcher.